Hello, everyone. It's just a couple of days ago that Israel refused to let two British parliamentarians into their country. Now, I don't doubt the state of Israel's legal right to refuse admission to whomsoever they consider not conducive to the public good. So there were two Labour Party politicians, Abtissam Mohammed and Yuan Yang. Abtissam, her name meaning smile in Arabic. She's a hijabi, so she's a practicing Muslim. I don't know what her ethnicity is, whether she's got any Palestinian ancestry. Yuan Yang, who's ethnically Chinese, a British citizen. Some people say is racialist. They would have allowed them in had they been white. So these two women were elected to the UK Parliament quite recently. Um, anyway, the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs, David Lammy, not a man whom I held a brief for, but he said what Tel Aviv had done was unacceptable, counterproductive, and deeply concerning. Now, about the only time that I will concur with what Mr. Lammy had to say. Now, Kemi Badenoch got herself into a bit of a trouble for saying Israel has the right to control its own borders. I mean, which it does, but impliedly approving the decision, and said there were Labour MPs which other countries didn't want to admit, and so on. Goodness. So they flew on, I think it was an EasyJet flight from London Luton Airport to Tel Aviv, and they've been sent packing. Um, now the Israeli Interior Minister Moshe Arbel said they wanted to document the security forces. I don't know if that's true. I believe the two women were put up in a hotel for free and put back on a flight the next day. They were offered the chance to appeal this to a court, and they didn't do so. So I think they've really weakened their case. They could have gone to court. They might have won their case. They might have lost it. They would have at least tried. So I know Labour can also say, well, you can't really blame yourself for that. I remember Geert Wilders, yeah, so much for freedom of movement under the European Union, and wasn't actually held to be illegal. That was done about 2009 under the Gordon Brown day. So Geert Wilders was leader of the Partij voor de Vrijheid in the Netherlands, the Party for Freedom, but excoriates Islam. It'd be fair to say he's an Islamophobe, Geert Wilders. He wants to outlaw the Quran and so forth. And he's also a farouche Zionist. So Geert Wilders was invited to address some group in the House of Lords, and then he was stopped at the Heathrow and forced back onto his plane and blah, 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 which is quite shocking. Obviously, won't prevent him speaking remotely to people, but he's a controversial figure. I held no brief for him. I think it's quite distasteful, Geert Wilders. I would still allow him in if freedom to travel within the European Union is so fundamental. And remember, the United Kingdom was in the European Union back then. That's got to extend to Geert Wilders. Isn't it fascinating the way the government could so efficiently kick out a democratically elected leader of a political party from a fellow European Union country, from a fellow NATO country, but manifestly fails to deport violent criminals from whichever country? Anyway, so but back to the topic in hand. So the two women were sent packing. Anyway, so the Israeli embassy to the Court of St. James says it will not allow the entry of individuals or entities that act against the state and its citizens. Well, I don't know what they're doing to act against the state, saying that the two had made false accusations against Israel. I don't know if that's true. Possibly it's true, or were active involved in promoting sanctions against Israeli ministers, which might be the case as well, and so on. And said that they were doing this, and Israel's at war under seven fronts. I'm not how sure they get that. They get that number. Okay, they're fighting against Hamas in Gaza. Are they fighting anywhere else? Okay, to the north against Hezbollah. There's no fighting for a few months. Not really fighting in Syria. They stole some more land there. And I don't know where are the other four fronts, and so on. Anyway, this is bad news. Now, remember, the United Kingdom has very cordial relations with Israel. Has often voted Israel's way in the United Nations on these issues. Indeed, the Royal Air Force, about a year ago, they shot down some Iranian missiles that were fired at the state of Israel. I don't know why on earth Rishi Sunak chose to do so. It's like nothing to do with the United Kingdom. It's not the UK's problem. The UK's got enough problems of its own. His military is tiny, very stretched. Why provoke the Iranians? Now, I'm not anti-Israeli. I'm not anti-Iranian. I'm certainly very much against the policies of the Israeli government towards her neighbors, towards their own citizens. I mean, not so much. The Iranian regime is horrific towards its own citizens and wrong on many issues. I take no view on the Yemeni civil war. I wish it would end, and so on. But goodness, the United Kingdom should just not have got involved, and Israel does absolutely nothing back for the UK. Another slap in the face from Israel, and the UK is doing very little about it, and so on. Um, Anyway, so they said their trip had been organised with various charities that are British based. And they've often spoken out in favour of human rights and said that international laws must be upheld. And for that, they've been denied admission to Israel. So it's obviously very bad news. So the Medical Aid for Palestinians had organised a trip. The Council for Arab British Understanding has organised that. And because they say that Palestinians are humans too and Palestine should have a state, that's why these two women were not allowed in. So they had humanitarian aims to their trip. So it's troubling that this has happened. And so Kemi Badenoch has received to applaud the Israeli decision and so on. So 61 MPs signed a petition saying that goods from these land in Palestine that Israel's illegally occupying should be boycotted. Well, I concur with her on that one and said it was outrageous that Israel has withheld humanitarian aid from Gaza, leading to malnutrition, leading people die from lack of medicines, and so on. So they're using starvation as a method of warfare. So that really is sickening and grossly illegal. And anyway, Miss Yang has said there ought to be sanctions against certain Israeli ministers, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben Gvir, and so on. So these two men said that Israel should steal more land in Gaza and to force Palestinians out. Where they're going to go, I think that one hasn't been answered. So, Kemi Badenoch should be said countries be allowed to control their borders. Fine, but that includes Palestine. They shouldn't be invaded and have illegal immigrants and so on. So it's worrying that this has happened. Now it's true that the United Kingdom has occasionally banned Israeli civilians, not civilians, sorry, politicians. You have to go to the particulars. Was that right? Was that wrong? It seems tit for tat. But Israel has very few friends in the world, and His Majesty's government is fairly friendly towards them. So I'm sickened and appalled by what the Israeli government is doing to the Palestinians all the time. There was a group of 15 Palestinian doctors and nurses murdered by the Israeli army a few days ago. 15. Wow, sickening. I mean, what happened to these two women being kicked out of Israel is very, very minor compared to what's been going on. And so where's the outrage in the United States about that? You look back to 1972, the parachute regiment of the British Army shot dead 14 people in Derry in Northern Ireland. Now, one had been handing a bomb earlier, one was by the IRA youth wing. Don't know if any had been throwing stones at soldiers, but shouldn't have done it. They murder charges could be brought against some of them. But anyway, many people in the United States were furious about that. People never heard the end of it. But when Israel commits such crimes against Palestinian civilians, which it does every single day on a much bigger scale, you never ever hear about it. Strange that it's as Robert Fisk says, it's an exchange rate. One Israeli's life is worth about 100 Palestinian lives in terms of the media coverage in the United States or the moral outrage it generates. So it's flagrantly racist and nauseating. Well, thank you for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate PayPal, georgecallan79@gmail.com. Goodbye.